Hello, today I'm going to teach you how to play a few basic chords on the guitar. Now what a chord is when you are pressing a few strings on the fretboard here with your fingers on one hand, and on the other hand you're strumming them all together. So a basic C chord would sound like this. Okay. Now there's a few different types of ways to strum a chord. The easiest way I find is just with your thumb, just with the soft part of your thumb. You're just going to let it fall on all the strings. It's got a softer sound, but it's definitely just an easy way to start learning strum patterns and just kind of how to get those chords down. If you have a steel string guitar, which some of you might have a pick with you. So all you have to do is pinch it in between your two fingers, your thumb and your index finger here. It's going to just look like that. And then you're just going to let it fall onto the strings, just the same way as the thumb, just with this extra piece of plastic. So it'll sound more strong, just like this. And if you don't have a pick, you can just pinch your your thumb and your index finger as if you had the pick, but you're just going to hit the strings with your nail. It'll sound a little similar, but something like this. So yeah, that's just basic strumming. There's down. You can mix it up by going down and up, so just different ways to play it. So let's get right into it. So the first chord I'm going to teach you is the G chord. It looks like this. There's that graphic. So what you're going to do is on that graphic you'll see there's black dots filled in on the strings. Now usually chords are within the first 5 fret bars of the neck. That's mostly just for the basic chords. And so that's mostly what we're going to be working in, and that's what the graph is showing. So all you're going to do is take your hand that's holding the fret bar, and you're just going to press it onto the top string here, which is the 6th string, and you're pressing it on the 3rd fret. Now for the G chord, I recommend the middle finger goes on that top 6th string. And when we're counting strings, they're all named something, but we're just going to name them 1 through 6 right for now. So the first string at the bottom, the highest sounding one, which is called a high E, but we're just going to call it the first string all the way up to the 6th string. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on the 6th string, again, we're putting our middle finger on the 3rd fret. And it sounds different when you pluck it, and as opposed to open without anything pressed. So we're going to combo that with, on the 5th string, which is the next one down, the 2nd fret. Okay, so the two together, we've got 2 fingers, right? We've got this one and this one are going to be pressed at the same time. Okay, now finally we're going to take our next 2 fingers, which aren't being used. We could use our ring finger if you're comfortable with that. Typically you use the pinky for this next part. You're going to take your pinky or ring finger and you're going to place it on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. Okay, so it's going to sound like this. Okay, and it looks like this. And again, just feel free to refer to that graph so you can see. Alright, so I've got all of those 3 pressed down. My ring finger is just kind of floating. See how it's not touching anything? That's just kind of floating in between all the fingers. And when I strum those all together, we get the G chord. So it's good to practice as much as you can. You know, at least like an hour a day could be good. But it's like here. You know, as much as you can a day, because maybe you get tired the first day, but it's good to stop when you're tired. And then the next day, you'll pick it up again, and you'll find that you're just slowly going to get a little more memorization down. It'll take a little bit longer, but you'll definitely learn it a lot quicker by taking your time. So, here's the G chord, right? So you can just keep practicing that as much as you can. so you know that muscle is where it needs to be. Okay. So then the next chord I'm going to teach you is the D chord, and it looks like this on the graph. So all the fingers on the D chord are going to take place on the first, second, and third string. Okay, and you're making a shape kind of like this on the strings. So we're going to do on the second fret of the third string, okay, and on the third fret of the second string, and then back to the second fret on the first string. Okay. It sounds like that. When I strum it. So one thing is that when you're playing a set of chords, like if I were to go from G to D, you're going to see that it's kind of hard, but it takes time. So what you're going to want to do is switch between the G chord back and forth. That way you can get the transition good, because part of playing chords is not just the chord, but the transition between the chords is one of the challenging parts, because you're switching between two different hand figures at the same time. And now you'll see with the G chord, I'm used to playing it with my middle two fingers on the top, just going back to the G chord. That way when I switch to the D chord, it's a little easier, at least for me, because everyone has different preferences. So again, the D chord, we've got the second fret on the third string, the third fret on the second string, kind of flip-flopping there with our numbers, and then the second fret on the first string, and just like that. And refer to the graph. It's going to be a lot more helpful. Okay. Now the next chord that we're going to learn is the A minor chord. Now keep in mind, a lot of chords have different names. It's just how we can communicate which chord is which. But the main thing you want to be remembering is what does the picture of the hand look like? That way you can remember it for when you're transitioning. Anyways, so the A minor chord sounds like this. It's got a little more of a, lesser tone to it, really, I guess you could say. Minor, right? Minor tone is kind of why they call it that. And this is D, right? It's a D major chord, technically. And the difference between major and minor chords is the sound. One sounds a little more sad or serious, and D is a little more happy. Anyways, so A minor chord. This one I feel like is a little bit easier, because you're taking your middle two fingers, and those are going on the second fret of the fourth string and the third string. And then you're taking your index finger, and that goes on the second string on the first fret. So it looks like this. Make sure to look at that graph whenever you can, or have it up on the screen. That kind of helps if you're on the computer, or print it out. It's also pretty helpful to print out the chords, that way you can play it anywhere. So anyways, it sounds like this. And again, when we're thinking about transitions, if we go from D to A minor, what does that jump feel like, and what does that jump look like between the two chords? So it's a bit of a switch. We're going from this, and then we're moving, blending our two fingers, trying to land on the right spot, and there it is. It's a bit of a jump, so go as slow as you need to. I know I'm kind of keeping a fast pace here just because of the video, but feel free to pause the video if you just need to take that mental screenshot of what that looks like, or just need to practice between the two chords. So far we've got the G, D, and then A minor. So the transition will jump from the three. It sounds like this. Now the last chord I'll teach you is the C chord. So this one has a good transition between A minor and C. So if we're starting at A minor, all we have to do is take our ring finger and move that up to the 5th string on the 3rd fret. So we're going from here up to here. Just like that. Now we're in the C chord. And again, just strumming as easy as you want to, just a down strum. It doesn't have to be fancy. So again, that transition, we're looking at A minor. Move your ring finger all the way up to the 5th string, 3rd fret. So we're here to here. And make sure to check out that C major little graph piece I have for you. So all in all, we've got G, D, A minor, and that's the 4 chords that I'm teaching you today. So feel free to, ask us any questions you have here in the blog. But these chords together, like I said, were very, well, if you didn't know, they're very common in a lot of kind of folky songs. And one song that this is actually a chord progression for is the opening theme song to the TV show Adventure Time, one of my favorite shows. So if you'll remember, it goes a little bit like this. Adventure time, come grab your friends, we'll go to very distant lands with Jake the dog and Finn the human. The fun will never end. Adventure time. Alright, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.